You have stumbled into an exciting new world. Uh, Tell me, have you ever dreamt of being famous?
When I was a little kid, I wanted to be a rock star because I could do this with my finger. But as I got older, I realized that the reality of the corporate rock world sucked.
There is no Dr. Pepper, and there are no salted peanuts. There is only Biodome. Welcome to It's Always Sunny in the Biosphere. I am your host, Patty, and my co-hosts are...
My name is like Red Man. This shit is fucking killing me. Yeah, I'm Red.
I am Professor Lugia. I hate it here.
Yeah, we're talking about Biodome today. If you can't tell, we watched it right before recording. So
It is currently
our...
8:32 p.m. So
It's been a long day for all of us.
Yeah, so you're getting our fresh, raw, uncut thoughts, uncirced, unfiltered. I don't have any news for us. Do you want to just jump right in?
let's just do it.
Why don't you give us a little background on the Biodome?
Well, of course. Okay, so Biodome. This was the feature film directorial debut of Jason Blum. After this, he would direct two other movies, being Overnight Delivery and Viva Las Nowhere. I have no idea what he's done with his life since then, but he's got a trilogy. But talk about Biodome. This film is inspired by a real experiment from the early 90s called the Biosphere 2. And to give a little brief synopsis of that, it was is a research facility built in Arizona that in 1991, 8 people were sealed inside of for 2 years and 20 minutes, only surviving off of some pre-packed food and whatever they could grow within the sphere. Question, have you guys ever heard of this experiment?
No, this
I'm
is
not.
the first time I've ever heard of anything Biodome related.
This was kind of an ambitious experiment because the hope is that if this was successful, this would be our first steps towards space colonization. Given that it's like 35 years later and we're still only on Earth, it wasn't really a success. It wasn't a complete failure, but like there were a lot of internal problems and it had bad publicity. The structure is still there today, but it hasn't been concealed since that experiment. There is a documentary that kind of goes over what that whole thing was about with the actual scientists talking about what was going on. Long story short, it was kind of a living nightmare for them for a multitude of different reasons, not present in the movie, but that's neither here nor there. I'm just saying, if you want to know more about this real experiment, there is a documentary about it. But perhaps, actually, to get into the movie Biodome, something kind of interesting, at least to me, is that they wanted to film the movie in the actual Biosphere 2, but they were denied because one of the people in charge of the Biosphere 2 told them, quote, "We're not interested in getting into the movie business." And what makes that quote even stranger is that Steve Bannon, of all people, said it.
Huh.
Yeah, Biosphere 2 is kind of a weird story. Very weird rabbit hole. If you're wondering why it was called Biosphere 2, well, it's because the Earth is Biosphere 1. Biodome released in early 1996, and against a budget of $8 million, it grossed $13.4 million. And for the reviews, it has a 1 out of 100 on Metacritic, so the most liked movie. And it has since been regarded as one of the worst movies ever made. So to get into the real nitty-gritty, what is Actually, wait, hold up, sorry. One more fun fact. You're probably wondering, why the hell is Tenacious D in this movie? And that's because Jack Black and Jason Blum are actually really good friends. Yeah, and
That's good to know.
This was also the very first on-screen appearance of Tenacious D.
That's crazy.
Like,
It's
no
something
music
Biodome
videos
has
either?
you can never take away from it.
This movie really kickstarted Jack Black's career.
I don't think this was his
Killed everyone
first
else's.
movie.
I mean, yeah, he was like Neverending Story 3, I think, right? When did that come out?
I don't know. I don't know
Yeah,
when.
this is
This
like
was-
the first movie where it was like Jack Black as like Jack Black. Like this was like the first.
Yeah, this was
Tenacious D
96.
was like, what was it?
96.
Yeah, like,
Yeah, I don't know, for all you Tenacious D fans, this is a pretty important note.
Neverending Story 3 was 1994.
yeah. So, yeah, he played like the villain in there. He played like a bully. But this is like Jack Black is like the first time he did like the persona, where he was Jack Black as we all know and love him today.
But that's only like 5 seconds of the movie. He is in no way an important part. So what is Biodome actually about? What is the real meat and potatoes? Well, buckle up. Biodome is not about Jack Black. It is about Bud and Doyle, two idiot best friends who are not only idiots, also gross and obnoxious idiots.
Where have I heard this before?
Also kind of pervy, so wonderful, wonderful combination. But one day, while they're busy being idiots, gross, and obnoxious, they pull over to what they think is a mall so that they can use the restroom. Only, it's not a mall at all. It is, in fact, a biodome. And it just so happens that at that very moment, 4 scientists are sealing themselves inside of the structure for 1 year. Rather than risk contaminating their experiment data and opening up the dome so that Bud and Doyle can leave, they decide to just keep them along for the experiment. I would say let the hilarity ensue, but that would imply any comedy was sealed inside of the biodome, and none was. And if you couldn't tell, yeah, we did not like this movie.
Now, we've talked about bad movies on this podcast before. I think this is the first time where Patty actually said, I regret picking this movie. The 90s and 2000s had so many of these, like, California, like, stoner comedies, There was, like, Dude, Where's My Car was probably, like, the closest corollary to something we've talked about.
There was
before,
SLC Punk, which is kind of like that too.
Well, no, that was about the punk scene. That was about like the surfer scene. And SLC Punk is a good movie. First of all, let's not make comparisons. That's a good one. But California was just very in vogue at this time in general because like Malcolm in the Middle took place in California also.
This movie isn't set in California. It's set in Arizona.
You know what I mean? It's like this like West Coast desert thing.
Fair enough.
Burning Man. That kind of vibe. If the 80s loved New York, the 90s definitely loved, the west side of the country. Where do we start?
Is there anything we liked?
Is there a single joke in this movie that landed with us?
No.
I didn't laugh at any point, but there were like 2 jokes where I'm like, that's close to being something kind of funny, but I didn't laugh. Not once.
And what were they?
Yeah.
First thing that comes to my mind, they only did it like twice, but it's the whole thing. Whenever they do rock, paper, scissors, they both always do the same gesture. And like that kind of came back at the end. Again, I didn't laugh, but I'm like, that's at least something.
I think this is the least I've ever laughed at a movie. I don't know. I feel
at
like
least a movie that was a comedy, I'd say.
The biggest problem with this film is that it shows its hand like at the very start and it doesn't change from there because everything plays out how you expect it to. We have these 2 guys who stumble upon the biodome thinking it's the mall, and now they're stuck there, and then they start trashing like the ecosystem and then reform themselves to fix it. It's nothing you haven't really seen before.
And that would be fine if it was funny, but it's not.
So
the 2 main
boring.
The 2 main characters are just so unlikable, and they're the most cliched idiot duo. They're every idiot duo you've ever seen. Like, there's nothing distinct. Like I said that about Dude, Where's My Car? This is much worse. At least in Dude, Where's My Car, they were tolerable.
Dude, Where's My Car is a fucking masterpiece compared to this. I never thought I'd say that.
Every single scene with the 2 of them, which is like 90% of the movie, there's like some type of music playing in the background. And like the songs are fine, but like there's no moment of silence at all. And it's like,
you know what? I'm gonna say it. That's my compliment. That's the one I'm picking. I like the music that played in the background. It was too much, but I like it. I don't know. Here's the thing.
That's the problem. The movie never shuts up.
Also, what is the point of playing the Spider-Man theme? Like, how does that correlate to the film?
Because 90s, I don't know.
The characters are like predators, like straight up. Like they are bad people. They're like usually with movies like this, the like it's either like an Always Sunny type like self-awareness to the fact that the main characters are terrible, or they make it's like they either have to be likable or there's like some self-awareness that they're terrible people. But this movie has none of that. Like I don't know. Have you guys ever seen the Beavis and Butthead movie?
No.
Not the movie, no.
All right, the Beavis and Butthead movie, I would say is like it's comparable because that whole movie is just about 2 guys. They're like, oh man, I'm gonna go to this place to score, and then they get roped up into basically like a spy movie plot. And they just like fuck around and annoy everyone. And like that's basically what the premise of this movie is, kind of in a way. Where like 2 idiots, they're just trying to get laid, and then they get roped up into this thing completely out of their scope of comprehension. But it's just not funny. Beavis and Butthead is hilarious. It's one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. This movie, terrible.
Same thing with like Bill and Ted, because you have 2 dumbasses who are failing school, and then they get roped into a time travel adventure, and they use that to their advantage for their history project. That shit's fucking rad.
Yeah. Those are to me like the 2 directions it should have taken. You should have made them more likable like Bill and Ted, or it should have just done Beavis and Butthead where the movie's fully aware that these are just completely vacuous human beings who bring nothing but destruction. Like those are the only two ways I think you can like play it. Where it would work. I would prefer it went like the Beavis and Butthead route. It could at least, I don't know, have like a Home Alone quality to it. I don't know. I think the issue is like the two main characters annoy you just as much as they annoy the characters in the movie.
To the point where you'd actually feel sympathetic towards the scientists.
Yeah, like it needs to pull like that SpongeBob thing where like we get why Squidward is annoyed by SpongeBob and Patrick, but us the audience aren't actually annoyed by them. We find them charming.
And Bud and Doyle, they're basically the same character. Like there's no major difference between them in terms of their personalities. Like for a majority of the movie, I didn't even remember which one of them was which because like there was nothing distinguishable.
I completely forgot about their names.
I don't know who's who. I know
One of
the
them
with
goes
the
by
blonde-
Squirrel or some shit.
I know I can tell their girlfriends apart because Shannon Doherty, the blonde one, she's much more willing to put her foot down, and the black haired one is a bit more forgiving. I don't know. Maybe they could have done more interplay there. There was like barely anything to like the scientist characters too. There was like the bug guy, the two girls that they're constantly like sexually harassing, the main head of the thing who goes crazy. That could have been something, I guess. The guy who went crazy. But
I kind of thought this movie would like build up to something like, okay, to talk about that scientist, I did notice around like near the beginning of the third act, they would occasionally cut to that one scientist giving like a devilish grin, and then it would just fade to the next scene. I thought that would build up to something in the end where like he's hunting them or something, kind of like a Most Dangerous Game situation. But no, it turns into something completely different, which could have been funny if it was like properly built up to, but it just happens so fast.
things like movies like this have existed. Like, you ever see any of the Neighbors movies?
That's Seth Rogen, Zac Efron comedy.
Yeah, there's that one, and there's also the Belushi Dan Aykroyd one. Either one of those like was a better version of this. I don't even think either of them are great, but like they have like a decent premise of like a person getting driven insane by these two dipshits. Like it's basically like what the movie like this is a tried and true genre. So like the fact it failed so miserably is kind of amazing. Like it's just like the standard like frat comedy almost. Like just these are two frat guys, and you got the dean who's like, "Oh, I'll beat you, Animal House." That kind of shit. I was like, I don't know. There's like a way you could have made this work, but it's just I'm genuinely shocked how this even made it to like the green light stage though, because like what could the script have possibly been that made him think, yeah, this will be successful?
The
Because like
fart
there's nothing
jokes.
to it. Who are the actors again? It was Pauly Shore and
Stephen Baldwin.
Stephen Baldwin. Damn, I didn't realize that was a Baldwin brother. That makes sense though.
All right, I have a
Is he like
question
an up
for
and coming
Lugia.
comic?
So, me and Red gave one minor compliment to this movie. Do you have anything to say?
This film will literally just pass through me and I will never think about it ever again. You know how they say you tend to forget traumatic experiences? I think I'm gonna go through something similar, where I was traumatized so hard by Biodome that eventually it will just be nothing more in my memory and I can move on with my life.
You're saying it's not bad enough to remember?
I'm saying that it was so bad that I'm gonna forget it.
Really?
I literally have nothing to say about this film. I was left fucking speechless and drained.
Actually, I'm looking through my notes, or what little notes I did take. There was one moment in this movie all of us kind of clocked the fuck in, and that was when they made a reference to Blue Velvet of all movies.
Yeah, because we're just like surprised. Like, what do you mean? Like that you're referencing Blue Velvet? It's like, oh.
It's like how in Gigli, because like we were also pretty exhausted by the end of that, but like two moments in particular where a real fucking actor walks into the screen and just does their thing. It's like it just wakes you up. Granted, this part was more brief and it was only for a gag and it wasn't like for a big moment, but I guess that's something. When you watch something like Dude, Where's My Car, which already goes for something similar, you see just how bad this format can just destroy itself.
So the audience doesn't know this, but we've been trying to record this episode for like a solid month, and we just kept on getting like postponed, just because of like life shit.
That's just that's the cruelest joke of them all. We waited a month just to have this episode happen, and our thoughts are, we fucking hate it. This sucks. Moving on.
I
Honestly,
feel like
and
God was
I-
trying to warn us, because like we're not even recording this on like the usual day. The only reason we recorded this is because I just happen to have today off, so I was just like, fuck it. I can record today instead of us having to push it back another week. Like,
if we're giving audience insight, I'm gonna be completely honest, and I told you guys this already. The only reason I chose this movie was because I thought it'd be funny to talk about Biodome for Earth Day. This was late March. It is currently the end of April. We are past Earth Day, so the joke doesn't even make sense anymore. I just did it for a joke that was never funny, and now it's even less funny.
Well, well, I don't know. It's fitting for a movie that's it's just completely devoid of comedy. There's nothing likable about them. It's like, something is there like any movie that like works where there's just like where you just follow two unlikable people and they drive someone insane and then like I mean yeah I guess it's Beavis and Butthead. That's the only one I can think of. If you have even a passing interest in this movie, just watch Beavis and Butthead because it is this premise done right. When did Dumb and Dumber come out? That came out like
1994.
All right, yeah.
And
There's like
one of the
there's no
songs that
shortage of
one of the
movies.
songs that they played in this movie is from Dumb and Dumber. And at that point, I'm like, you're not even trying to be subtle. You know, there's a better idiot comedy that you're just taken from.
There are so many comedies I can like think of that try to do what this movie does better. It's like I'm kind of baffled. Like Jane, Silent Bob, Harold and Kumar, Cheech and Chong, like fucking hell. Ted, fuck it. Watch Ted instead.
Again, I'm thinking the only thing in this movie that I can think to give a compliment to is 3 or 2 jokes that almost made me smile.
I can't think of a
That's
single
it.
joke. Like every other bad movie we've talked about, we've come up with at least like one line or something that was like, oh, that wasn't that bad. But like this one, generally nothing.
Apart from the Blue Velvet one, yeah.
That wasn't a
Okay.
joke. We just like reacted to it because that was something we recognized. We're just like thrown off to hear like a masterpiece get dropped in. Like they just reference that, and like it's these two like complete like zonked out of their head like morons referencing Blue Velvet of all movies, and we're just like, oh, like that's just like shocking.
There's
Yeah,
a smidge of humor within there if you look at it through a microscope, but it's there.
it's like humor in like a conceptual sense. I can envision a world where this possibly has a joke in it, but like
You probably need to be just as stoned as the characters to laugh at it.
actually, I can't really envision a world where like this has jokes. Like it's still the same two performers. Like you need to recast it. Like the script has like no real plot to it, so you need to like completely like revamp the script. There's like I don't know, there's not like a clear sense of progression. So much of an arc. There's like it's the most nothing movie I've ever seen. Like genuinely.
And it's very repetitive.
Yeah. Like
A lot of montages.
We've
Like, from
said that
Justin
before, how the
Kelly,
movie
more-
like never stops
lot
with the
of-
music. It doesn't have time to slow down. There's even when it does like have silence, it's only for a brief moment before it gets back into being like fast paced. Like you can't catch your breath with this film.
Yeah. So
Just don't.
Patty's saying it. Patty is exceedingly nice to every other movie we've watched. All right, he gave fucking like from Justin and Kelly. He said nicer things about. He like don't watch it. None of us like it. We have nothing good to say about it. Don't even watch it for fun. It's not like I think we're hyping. We're like some people are gonna check it out. Have like curiosity. No,
It is
No, this-
boring. Don't do it. It sucks.
Imagine like you're in the hospital and like all your bones are broken and you're just sitting there all day, bored out of your mind, and then there's just like a little bit of an itch, like a little bit of a pain underneath your cast that you just can't reach.
That's this movie. It is an itch
Yeah.
under a cast that you can't scratch. Biodome, more like bio don't.
Yeah. God, you know, after watching this movie, I'm thinking about like what I want to recommend next week. Because at first I was like, the current recommendation I have lined up is a complete wild card. It's a movie I haven't seen. I assume it's good because everyone I know thinks it's good. But like part of me is just like, man, should I just like pick something safe that I know that I like, just so we can like,
Just a palate
I don't know.
cleanser.
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't know. I'm pretty sure people are gonna like this. I'm sure Lugia, you've heard of it too. You mind if I just? We're done here. We have nothing else to say. so-
No, I think we've said everything we needed to.
We're
Yeah,
good.
okay.
We're done. Just
Okay.
don't. Bio don't.
Yeah. So my idea for a recommendation of next week is it's an anime film. You know, I think last time we talked about anime was 1989. Oh, and what's really funny is the last time we talked about an anime, it was Mamoru Oshii. Oh boy. Well, okay, we're dipping back into the well. So this movie isn't directed by Mamoru Oshii, but it's the third part in a. He wrote it, and it's technically speaking the third part of a trilogy. The first two movies are live action and directed by Oshii. They're very experimental, very different films than this. You don't need to watch them. I'd be surprised if you guys even found them. I saw the first one. It's a odd film. It's a good movie, but you know it reminds me of like this Godard film I saw once, or maybe Truffaut. I don't remember. It's Alphaville. We're yeah, dipping back into the anime well, dipping back to the Mamoru well. Where it's Jinro the Wolf Brigade, 1999, directed by Hiroyuki Okiura.
Okay, I have
Um,
not heard of this before.
I think you might recognize the iconography because the main characters are wearing these power suits that you might have seen before. You know, probably saw it in like I don't know, just referenced in other things. But by far the most popular entry of the Caribou Saga, mostly because it's the only animated one, and anime is a lot more popular than experimental Japanese films. It's a straightforward, action film. But yeah, I think it'd be interesting to talk about. I haven't seen it, but it's one of those like big, iconic retro anime that up there with like Ghost in the Shell and Akira is like these cyberpunk dystopian films that everyone seems to know. So yeah, I thought that'd be cool. I mean, we've already talked about Ghost in the Shell. We've already talked about Oshi. Oh, Ghost in the Shell is also Oshi. So yeah, actually, yeah, okay, we're just talking about Oshi again. That's basically it. We're just talking about this one guy again. He didn't direct it, but he wrote it, and his fingerprints are all over it. So
All right, that'll do it for this episode. Till next time, remember to put your tray table up, your seat back in the full upright position.